It doesn't work in like 30 minutes into it. Oh, I didn't record it.
Yeah.
My bad. All right, so
it's our intellectual property. We don't want anyone to know what we're working on.
Yeah, they should.
It's our work product. It's our work product.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Let's see here.
It has taken forever for my computer to load this morning.
That's all right.
That was the United States District Court, SD, New York.
Okay. The Southern United States.
SD.
New York.
The Southern District Court.
Mm-hmm.
The second district. Is it in here?
Yeah, that's probably what it means.
U.S.
District Court SD.
Or Southern District of New York. Oops.
I don't know if it's Southern or second. I thought it was. Let me look at it. Yeah,
probably second, because Southern wouldn't make sense because Washington's up north and New York's up north.
The Second Circuit Court is New York City, Connecticut, New York, and Vermont. So that SD is, I'm assuming, the second district.
SDNY?
Yeah, you could do SDNY, I think.
This is what comes up on Wikipedia for that. The Southern District.
Southern
okay.
District, is it? Okay.
Appeals to the Second Circuit.
Yeah. But isn't that, let's see, brought this action. Okay, so we're not to the appeal yet. Oh, they didn't do an appeal. Never mind.
And then the substantive law would be it would be I guess
a breach of contract.
Yeah. So, ooh, that's not what I wanted.
Breach of alleged contract.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Yeah, alleged. Because whether the television commercial constituted an offer is the central question.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not even whether it constituted a contract. It's saying that the television commercial, the guy is saying it was an offer and Pepsi's saying it wasn't an offer.
Right.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So what should I put?
Breach of alleged contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're not sure it was a valid offer.
And then alleged fraud then?
Yeah.
Application to the law. So
whether it's a contract or not?
Yeah, so I think we need
so he's alleging you have to have an offer, acceptance, and consideration.
Yeah. Right.
And what Pepsi's saying is there was no offer.
Yeah.
There was no valid offer. So after what we read this week, because it wasn't. So it was in the contract, but PepsiCo alleges that it was a joke. It was something that a reasonable person would have known that you couldn't buy a Harrier jet with Pepsi points.
Yeah.
Well, that, and it was so cheap. It was too good to be true.
Yeah,
I mean, it was $7. Yeah.
$20 million aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who has $700,000 lying around just to sue Pepsi? You know, to like.
Well, he actually raised it, but you know what? I feel like this guy, he did it just to, I don't know, because he obtained an attorney before he even submitted his offer. Like he knew that it wouldn't, you know, that they wouldn't honor it.
Right.
I don't know. He seems like he's trying to get something for nothing.
Yeah. I probably just wanted a settlement, not actually for it to go to court.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was looking online and they redid the commercial and they rewrote it as 700 million Pepsi.
Yeah, they had a 95 version and a 96 version, and then they upped all the points in 96.
But also, with the fact that they had the codicil in there that the offer was not available in all areas.
Sorry,
one more time. Would it factor in that they had the disclaimer in the commercial that said offer not available in all areas, see details on specially marked packages, and then the fact that it was not in the catalog or the order form?
Mm-hmm.
Or can you, or was the point that it was just something that a reasonable person wouldn't have thought was an offer enough?
I don't remember reading about the catalog. You said it didn't say that in the catalog, or it didn't have the Harrier jet in the catalog?
Yeah, in the catalog, it didn't. The Harrier jet was not in the catalog or
on the order form. Yeah.
And so the plaintiff wrote in one Harrier jet and 7 million in the total points column.
Okay. So that could be Pepsi's way of being like, hey, it wasn't really about. I mean, like it was humorous, but like it's not even in the catalog.
Yeah.
So did Pepsi argue that, or did they just argue?
Yeah. Pepsi sent back a letter saying, hey, it's not on the order form, it's not in the catalog. Only catalog merchandise can be redeemed under this program.
For humor, Harrier, not in catalog.
Or the order form.
Yeah, I think most reasonable people would have seen that it was really humorous. I mean, what teenager?
This guy's just a jerk. Acceptance. So that would be Leonard sending in his order form written on there saying, right. Okay.
And the law states that an advertisement, it does not, the general rule is an advertisement does not constitute an offer. And that's in the restatement paragraph, sentence, and then the close paragraph of contracts explains that.
Okay. Do you know what page that was on?
It's on page 4 of the group case presentation.
The rubric of the PepsiCo reading?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Page 4, and yeah, we should probably just
we can use that right there in the, you know.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Pepsi did not cash his check. So they did not accept his money.
Right.
They didn't process payment.
So you said page 4, it says that the general, okay, so that'll be, we'll probably do that application to case law though, right? Rather than application to the law, because it, you know what I mean, it'd have to be.
Yes.
Or acceptance.
Yeah.
The case law.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then consideration, contract cannot be one-sided.
It has to be a bilateral contract, right? Not a unilateral.
Yeah, like quid pro quo, you know, like, well, you can give us that money, but we don't have a Harrier jet to give you.
Right.
But that would, I mean, the whole point of it is they never offered a Harrier jet.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was something that a reasonable person would know, that you couldn't buy a Harrier jet with Pepsi points.
Okay.
A reason, and I think that's what it all came down to.
So reasonable.
A reasonable person wouldn't think, or a reasonable person would know that you couldn't buy a Harrier jet with Pepsi points.
I don't know, Denise, what would you do with a Harriet jet anyways? I mean, seriously.
Man, the boys in my family I would be the favorite grandma, no question, hands down.
I know, but it carries missiles and stuff. I mean, what would a regular person do with it?
Man,
it's crazy.
I could think of something.
You would be so cool if you drove it to school.
Man, if I could afford the fuel, you know, just
exactly
the insurance.
Yeah, because I like
place to keep it.
Yeah, my dreams have a tank. You know what I mean? Like, let alone a jet. Military jet cannot.
Oh, there's a really good quote in like the 4th paragraph down on page 4.
Okay.
It says, in quotation marks, it's from Lovett versus Frederick Lozer and Company.
Mm-hmm.
Says, noting that, and quote, advertisement is nothing but an invitation to enter into negotiations and is not an offer which may be turned into a contract by a person who signifies his intention to purchase some of the articles mentioned in the advertisement.
Yep.
Close quote.
So this is from, sorry, I want to.
Lovett versus Frederick. I think it's like the 4th paragraph. It's the paragraph right after restatement second of contracts.
Oh,
Lovett
Frederick.
versus Frederick.
It starts with one Arthur Corbin.
Yeah.
It's in that paragraph and finishes up the paragraph.
Yeah, and I also like the other one where it says no contract would be formed until the advertiser accepted the order form and processed payment, which is in the next paragraph.
Okay. Sorry, next paragraph, it says that no.
Yeah, it's almost to the end of that paragraph, and it says.
Oh, there will be no contract until defendant accepts order form.
Until the advertiser accepted the order form and processed payment, which they did not. They returned his check.
Right. What? Holy cow, what's going on here? There we go.
Even in the one below it, in Massaro's versus United States, it talks about how the plaintiff sued the U.S. Mint for failure to deliver the Statue of Liberty coins. I think because the demand was unexpectedly robust. But then the court began to notice that it was well-established rule that advertisements and order forms are mere notices and solicitation for offers, which create no power of acceptance in the recipient.
Copy. Why does it keep doing that? It's driving me crazy. There be no enforceable contract until descendants accepted order form. Oh. That's from, what case is this from? A restatement of sec.
Farnsworth Supra at 242. Let's see, Farnsworth.
Or else is it the Mezzaros versus the United States?
Yeah.
No, I think that's because because there weren't any words of limitation is from the Mezzaros court, but then the one that you said a customer would not usually have reason to believe. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I skipped.
Mezzaros was the mint one.
Yeah. Would this just be from the restatement of contracts?
Yeah, which is also part of the mint one.
So yeah, so that one's just the notices and solicitations for offers which create no acceptance in the recipient.
So that should be the restatement then of second contract. Contracts for the, like, from where this comes from. Like that.
I'm trying to read it.
Probably there'd be no enforcement contract. Oh, right. So this is saying that that it's not valid until Pepsi cashes in the check, and then they would then have to give them the Harrier jacket.
Yeah.
But where does that come from? We need to give a source for that.
Isn't that one in the article as well? Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, so where it has the restatement second of contracts, it says it is quite possible to make a definite and operative offer to buy or sell goods by advertisement in a newspaper, by handbill, catalog, circular on the place card of a store window. It is not customary to do this, however, and the presumption is the other way. Such advertisements are understood that to be mere requests to consider and examine and negotiate, and no one can reasonably regard them as otherwise unless the circumstances are exceptional and the words used are very plain and clear. So I don't think, I mean, I wouldn't say the reasonably, like reasonably regard them otherwise unless the circumstances are exceptional. Like, it's like, I don't know, because to me it's clearly a joke.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's not acceptable. 700,000 for 23 million.
Yeah.
So, do you want to keep going with the application of law, or do you want to go down to legal lessons learned?
I think that'd be good.
Okay.
It's fairly straightforward.
Well, I find it interesting. The very last sentence on page 4 says, under these principles, the plaintiff's letter constitutes the offer, and there would be no enforceable contract until the defendant accepted the order form and cashed the check. So what they're saying, under these principles, which is the stuff that's in this restatement of contracts, the advertiser is not even making an offer. The offer comes from the person that's trying to redeem it, and then they
can accept it or deny it.
Yeah, which kind of takes away, consideration, because to be binding, they must give something in exchange for something. So since Pepsi did not accept his check, they didn't have consideration.
They didn't, and there was no contract.
Right. Because they never accepted
here.
Money.
Yes.
So what are we changing here?
We could just say it word for word. There would be no enforceable contract until the defendant accepted the order form and cashed the check.
Okay, so we'll take, instead of doing this here for the application to case law, we'll do that under consideration.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So for application to case law then, do we want to add more to this, or do you want to just have this top one?
I think the top one's okay.
Okay.
You know, on the last page of the, well, this is the last page. I don't know, on page 5, it also says that, you know, it goes on about how a shoe keeper resulting in a number of contracts exceeding the shoe keeper's inventory. I found that was interesting too. Because, I mean, how many jets would, or Harriet fighters would Pepsi have in its inventory?
Yeah. So, legal lessons learned. Are you guys okay with going on?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I think just from what we've read, the consideration, like there has to be action on both parties in order for it to be considered.
Sorry, consideration needs to be.
Well, both parties need to consider the action before it can become a contract.
I think it's on page 6 under number 1. It says objective reasonable person standard. And it says the alleged offeree's belief that the advertisement or solicitation was intended as an offer. And I think it's funny because I don't think this guy actually thought it was an offer. Like I said, I think he was just trying to get something from nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that lessons learned is advertising does not constitute an offer.
Yeah.
An offer comes when the person responding to the advertising puts forth their offer of what they want to buy. That's the offer. The offer doesn't come from the company that's doing the advertising unless it's explicit. And this guy's attorney was one of those attorneys that give attorneys a bad name.
Or he wasn't very good at his job and wanted more money.
Yeah, I think
you know he still got paid.
Yep.
Right.
And that, what was I just going to say? Oh, and that if something looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Like,
and the looking at like what they like the purpose of a Harrier jet, number 4, primary mission of a Harrier jet, according to the United States Marine Corps, is to attack and destroy surface targets under day and night visual conditions.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think Pepsi's going to be hooking people up with that.
No.
So what else do we want to put on this?
So we're doing the lessons learned, right?
Yep.
You come back over. And in your first sentence, it should be both parties. TIES.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Advertising does not constitute an offer from the buyer.
I mean, one thing that I thought was interesting that they had to explain what was funny about the commercial. I mean, I don't know if that's really a lesson learned, but like if you're going to make a joke, make sure that it's clearly something that you can explain how it's funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, that's a slippery slope because nobody, there's some people out there just have zero sense of humor. Probably like this John Leonard guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe he has a really good sense of humor and he's laughing about it. Guys, I went all the way to court about a Harrier jet. Can you believe that?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, maybe he's just, I don't know. But
okay, so I think, we need to put something in there. A contract is not valid if it doesn't include an offer, acceptance, and valid consideration from both parties.
All right. It doesn't include an offer, acceptance, and consideration.
Acceptance and consideration from both parties. Does that pretty much cover? I think that pretty much covers what we were supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put in the updated commercial after this?
Sure, that would be good.
Yeah.
See what they learned.
I think in the amicus brief, it does show them one of the commercials, but I think having the updated one would kind of give something else as well.
Actually, I don't know that was such a smart idea for them to update it.
Because that makes it look like they're admitting fault.
Exactly. It makes it now, I mean, you can look at it and you could go, any reasonable person would know that you wouldn't be able to buy a Harrier jet for $700,000. Yeah. So if they make it 700 million, then to me, that almost legitimizes it and says, we know that nobody's going to be able to come up with the 700 million. Yeah. I mean, so we're going to say that. But
at the same time, they upped all the everything. They didn't update just the jet. They updated all their stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, I mean, they could just say like, well, no, we were updating everything. I think,
Yeah.
Because the other one, the other one said like everything went up though.
I think also it's like if they upped it to 700 million, that means the price of the Harrier jet would be 70 million. So they would probably buy somebody a jet if somebody was going to give them $70 million because they would make 50 million off that.
One a little bigger. We'll have it start automatically. Oop. Okay, let's see here. Gospel applications.
Mm-hmm.
I
know. I have an idea. Oh.
Yeah.
We shouldn't want something for nothing. Kind of like in 2 Nephi 25:23, where it says, the truth is that we are saved by grace only after all we ourselves can do. We can't expect to be saved when we do nothing. And so we can't expect nothing, something for nothing.
What was the reference again? 2 Nephi 20.
Well, there's two. There's 2 Nephi chapter 25, verse 23. The truth is that we are saved by grace only after all we ourselves can do. So we shouldn't something for nothing.
And then the other.
Then, you know, even in like Moses, chapter 4, verse 25, it says that, and by the sweat of thy face shall thou eat bread. You know, not just going to be given to us.
Yeah.
Expect something for nothing. I don't know. Those were my thoughts, but.
Second Nephi 25.
And then I had also thought about how Satan counterfeits and tries to make us think we can get something for nothing, like, or for, you know, that we can get a Harrier jet for $700,000. You know, oh well, you can be happy. It, you know, this is going to make you happy. You know, drinking is going to make you happy, and stuff like that. But the only thing that really makes us happy is doing what the Lord wants us to do. But I don't have any references, so we'll go with Valerie's.
Either way.
Moses.
Work for your, all right, was that supposed to say possessions or progressions?
Possessions.
Get rid of the R.
Oh, okay. My bad. I'm not educate.
Nope. P-O-S-E-S-S.
P-O-S?
Yeah. P-O-S-E-S-S-I-O-N-S.
Yeah, I had to take one English class and one math class. That's why I did business.
Moses 4:25. Actually, what if we use that work for your possessions rather than attempting to get something for nothing? What if we used that for the Moses 4:25, which is, you know, that we'll earn our bread by the sweat of our brow, and then and have that one first, and then the second Nephi one second, and say, you know, even our salvation, or not salvation, even our exaltation requires us to
work,
do what, yeah, to make efforts and not expect to just get the salvation, except salvation is freely offered. So,
well, I mean, you know, we gotta work for salvation. Sorry, what should I put?
Okay, so put the Moses 4:25 one first before the second Nephi.
Does order matter that much?
I think it does, because I think we're progressing from the
creation.
Well, from a temporal standpoint to an eternal standpoint, that even, you know, our position in the eternities depends on the work that we do here, that we can't expect the highest degree of celestial glory if we haven't put forth the effort to get there.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So what do you want me to put for this one here?
Say even, let's see, effort is expected even in from an eternal standpoint. We can't expect to achieve the highest degree of celestial glory without putting forth the effort required to get to there, or to get there.
Cannot reach salvation. What did you say?
Well, the highest degree of celestial glory, because we will be, everybody will be saved. Everybody gets salvation, because that's, you know, being resurrected and being reunited with our bodies. It's the exaltation. It's where do we end up in the continuum as far as for the rest of eternity. And we can't achieve the highest degree of glory if we don't put forth the effort that's required to get there.
Look good?
Just add in a D to required.
You what?
The D required.
Period at the end of both of the statements.
Well, I don't really do in PowerPoint, you know.
All right.
Okay.
Look good? Okay, so let's we'll leave this, do a format the slides. We just do a gradient fill, apply to all. And then let's see here. If I present this down here, does it still look like that on my screen? Like you're, can you see the main presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. So this should play automatically. Not playing. So maybe the points went down.
I think it went down for some of them, but it went up for the Harrier jet.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Summary. PepsiCo ran an advertisement in Washington State as part of the test market for Pepsi catalog. In this catalog, they allowed consumers to purchase or redeem Pepsi points for Pepsi merchandise. In the commercial, Pepsi displayed a Harrier fighter jet with a teenager piloting it to school and the words 7 million Pepsi points. Argument. Plaintiff. The plaintiff thinks PepsiCo should make good on their contract or promise to supply a Harrier jet for the 7 million Pepsi points. Defendant. The defendant in this case alleges that their, let's change that.
Oh, T-H-E-R-E.
Oh no.
No, on their contract.
There was no contract.
There was no contract, as there was no offer to redeem points. Is the 2 in there? Oh, there you go. To redeem points for a Harrier joke. Period. Space, capital T.
Are we adding to this?
No. I think you need to put a period after fighter, and then make that was a joke in the advertisement. Another sentence, yeah, like that. That was a joke. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a comma? Does that flow very well? Maybe
or a semicolon. You could do a semicolon, I think would be more appropriate than a comma.
I sent you some clip art. Maybe we want to include, you know, like the Pepsi point clip art or a Harriet jet. So they can see how humorous it is to think that a regular person would even desire a Harriet fighter.
Dude, I'm with the guy though.
Oh,
I mean, great. I'd like a jet.
it's not Harriet. It's not a T at the end of it. It's a Harrier.
A Harrier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Harriers.
Harrier. That was a joke.
Oh yeah.
And then like a Harrier jet picture.
Yeah, that's got Harriet also. Last line should be Harriet. Last sentence.
Yep.
Okay. It's a little big. That look good?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do anything for like the laws? Or just for like the
Those gavel things?
Yeah, the hammer.
Judge gavel or
okay.
On the contract page, maybe we can put like scales of justice.
yeah, there you go. Or a gavel or lots of gavels.
Application, the law. Ooh.
Okay, that's good.
Copy image.
Nice.
What do you want to do for the legal lessons learned?
I think it's probably good like that. There's a lot of pictures on all the other slides.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool.
I think that's the most important page. So yeah, I think that makes it stand out.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, let's save this. Documents. This is B275. Save. Cool. Actually, I'm going to save this. So we're group 2, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, now that we have that done, don't need that. Go to Island. And then individual assignments.
And that was, we were supposed to do examples of
consideration or not, right?
Right. Consideration. So for mine, I did that James is a police officer, Rudy's a multimillionaire that lives in the area that James patrols. And Rudy offers James $500 a week to check on his property at least once an hour during the times that James is on patrol. And that would be not having consideration because James is already legally obligated to check on his property during his patrols. And then the same situation, but Rudy contracts James to do private security for events when James is off duty. And that does have consideration because his time is not already spoken for by the police department.
Cool.
Okay.
Sweet. So, do we add the presentation or just key? You know?
I think we put in the put it in the discussion board. Just load to the discussion board and then.
Okay.
And I think there is a place for us to.
Yeah, I already submitted it.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, the example that I did, for the example with consideration, I had said John went to purchase a car from a nearby dealership. He shows up to the dealership and test drives a new Mustang. He likes the car and offers to pay $18,000 for the car. The dealer, in turn, thinks about this offer because it is $5,000 below MSRP. The dealer comes back and tells John he will sell the car for $20,000. John takes the deal and accepts the new car for $20,000 cash. So that would be the option of consideration. And the other one is Travis is in the market for a new snowboard. He sees someone shredding the slopes on a bright red and green board and wanted to ask the kid where he had purchased his board. The young kid comes down the slope and Travis asks him where he got it. And the young kid said he bought it online last week. Travis offers the kid $500 for the board. The young kid then says that he might be selling it soon to someone but doesn't give Travis a price or his contact information. The kid then proceeded to finish his run on the mountain. And so that would be the one where it's not considered because he didn't give him anything for consideration.
Here I put up Valerie's.
Yeah, my example was a dog catcher is out on duty looking for stray animals. He sees a sign for a lost dog, and as he's walking back to his vehicle, he spots the lost dog. The dog catcher retrieves the lost dog, placing him in his truck, then takes the lost dog sign off the post and calls the number to claim the reward. Mine's an example of where there's not consideration in a contract.
Because he's on the job.
Yeah. And he had a legal right to retrieve the lost animal without being compensated.
Right.
Cool. So mine was, so Ted pays Bob to mow his lawn. There's consideration because one valuable money was traded for another time. And then my not consideration is Sergeant Smith is a soldier in Iraq, fights off insurgents, and then in return, local sheik wants to pay him and his troops for their efforts. Sergeant Smith and his squad already had the duty to protect the area, therefore there was no consideration and they could not accept the money.
Right.
Which sucks. So we, and then for the assignment, do we have to do both or just one for the group one?
I kind of like the idea of, and that's the way I did mine. I like the idea of using the same set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And then showing when there's consideration and when there's not. So like with Valerie's, we could say that if we could either change the fact that the dog catcher is on duty or we could change it to somebody that's not a dog catcher professionally, like
just a random person found the dog.
Yeah, a construction worker, or found the dog, so that could be one of the questions. Is and then just use one of the examples and say, no, use both of the examples and then say which of these examples is an example of a contract or the consideration for a contract. And if it was, the first one, it does have consideration and the second one doesn't, then, the first example, it has consideration, the second example doesn't have consideration, then flip them around for the second question, and then, say, what if it was, yep, they both have consideration and neither of them have consideration. And then you got your 4 answers.
Oh, I'll just put a construction worker finds a dog and returns the dog for a reward.
Yeah.
And then, so the construction worker had consideration because it was not his duty to do so.
Right.
All right, so, and then if you want to do the question, which example has consideration? So,
the correct answer A would be, let's see.
like this one, the dog catcher is not entitled to the reward. He has a legal right to retrieve the lost dog as he was on duty and therefore is exempt from receiving the reward. And then the construction worker
is entitled to the reward.
Even though he was on duty.
Yeah.
Because the construction worker could be at work.
The construction worker was entitled to the reward because
he had no legal right to
legality.
He had no legal
duty
to do so.
Yeah.
Wrong answer. The dog catcher entitled to the reward and satisfied the
unilateral contract.
Yeah, unilateral contract. And then wrong answer, the number, so that can be number 1, that can stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. And then the dog catcher is entitled to the reward because he fulfilled the consideration part of a binding contract, as he will give the pet owner the dog. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of
that is consideration, but it omits that he had the duty to do it.
Right.
So. And then the dog catcher is, so let's put that the construction worker is not entitled.
Entitled because he was
not entitled to the reward, although he must turn over.
No, because he was on the job at the time or something like that. There.
Because he was.
Yep.
I'm going to say on a job site rather than duty.
Right.
So the wrong answer for this one is feedback. The construction
Worker has no responsibility.
for some reason. Okay.
Has no responsibility to recover the dog as part of his job. So he is entitled to the reward even though he found the dog on duty. While on duty.
Has consideration, therefore he has consideration for the reward. And is
he's giving his time and effort in catching the dog and taking it back to the people that lost him. So that's what he's giving them in return for the money. So there is consideration because both parties are giving something that is theirs to give. That's the thing with the dog catcher and with my police officer example is they're on duty. They're already receiving compensation for what they're doing. So they shouldn't receive compensation for doing the same thing twice.
Correct.
and reward. Okay. Just to group 2. Hey, Valerie, thanks for being on top of everything. You're just killing it. Okay. Everything look good?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So save as B. Group 2. Okay, so let's all right, I think we are good on everything group related for the week.
Hey.
Yay.
So I submitted the presentation, and then I put it on the discussion board, submitted the weekly study group assignment, and then cool, and then everything else is
It's this.
How do you guys know on the? Do we post this? I'm sorry, I forgot. Where do we post this recording?
I think on the discussion board, isn't it? The
or is it in the review? I can't remember if it. Or maybe
it's the weekly study group, isn't it? I don't know.
Can't remember.
Yeah, that's the individual one you press.
Oops, my bad. My life together. Weekly study group.
So you have that person submit this document for your group to the weekly study group.
I think you just have to click on that or go to it by the assignment page.
Which one?
I know. I think you add our link to that document.
Oh, dang it. All right. All right. Well, I'll add it back to our document and resubmit it with it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, sweet guys. Well, you guys have a good week. See you next week at 10.
Sounds good.
You guys.
Thank you.